Mitrovic starts to slip over onto his face, and Ryan Schofield kicks the ball at him, and it goes in the goal. It was a complete and utter mess. 96th minute, Kenilworth Road, the roof comes off the place, maybe even literally, and it was just such a remarkable game.
Brought in some very good puns with him, obviously with the old shop surname, but unfortunately came up short with his overall tenure at Barnsley.
Come up shop, weren't you?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I avoided that one, but
yeah, defensively they just could not shut up shop, and it was just a nightmare from start to finish. Watching this lad from Stoke become the Chilean sensation that he is.
You know, there was a lot of fans in Chile who were making videos and TikToks of him. I mean, if I had TikTok, I would have probably done the same because he featured in adverts.
Tattoos of him.
But he featured in Pepsi adverts.
Yeah, in terms of name value, I don't think you'll be able to find a team that looks better on paper than that Villa team and didn't get promoted. Hello and welcome back to another special episode of the Stopwatch for the second week in a row. Following on from last week's award show, we're going to look back at the season as a whole and share our alternative awards. So as always, it's the championship show with a little twist. It's 5 topics, a 2-minute timer and 2 hosts. We're Ryan and Justin from the Second Tier podcast. Let's get right into it. Justin, what is the biggest WTF moment of the season?
Yeah, there's been quite a few. Obviously, it's the championship. There's always going to be many. But I think the biggest one, and I think any club that goes into this situation will be the biggest moment for me. But it's Derby going into administration. Obviously, it happened in September, and there was murmurings of bad finances, obviously, with the squad being unsettled or not even having a squad throughout pre-season. Nobody knew what was happening. And then Derby eventually went into administration, 12-point deduction. There was obviously the threat of the other points deduction for breaking financial fair play or spending rules as well. And that was just a complete, just knocked every supporter off their blocks completely. And obviously at that point, you had no idea what was going to happen to the club. So, a big WTF moment. And obviously what's ensued after that has been something of a story.
Yeah, the thing is as well, we knew that Derby weren't great behind the scenes, but I think the administration really caught people by surprise, didn't it? I don't think people actually saw that coming. And then when it came to a 21-point deduction, that was just always going to be a huge mountain for them to climb. And obviously it's turned out to be too big of a mountain to climb. My biggest WTF moment of the season is kind of tying into Alexander Mitrovic's goal record-breaking season that he's had. So people will always talk about the 43 goals and go, wow, what a season that was. But people forget how it started. Let me take you back to Huddersfield away, right at the start of the season. Joe Lumley has the ball at his feet. Was it Joe Lumley? No, it was Ryan Schofield, wasn't it?
Yep.
Ryan Schofield had the ball at his feet, and Alexander Mitrovic has closed him down. Mitrovic starts to slip over onto his face, and Ryan Schofield kicks the ball at him, and it goes in the goal. It was a complete and utter mess. And I say Schofield had the ball at his feet. He didn't really, did he? He was just making a right hash of it.
It was bouncing everywhere. And it's, the typical close the keeper down, let's see what he got. And it was quite early in the game, if I remember rightly, as well. So it wasn't the best way to get started. And at that point as well, I feared for Huddersfield because I had no idea what was going to happen for the rest of the season. But fair play to them. They turned it around. But what a way to start off a record-breaking season for Mitrovic.
What a start. His best goal of the season, if you ask me. Justin, what's next topic?
So what has been your favourite game of the campaign so far? There's been quite a few.
Oh, yeah, there has. Let me cast your minds back to January. This is when Luton's rise really started to be turbocharged. They came up against Bournemouth at home, and they managed to find themselves 2 goals up at half-time. Everything looked like it was going swimmingly, and it was going to be a remarkable result for them. But then they managed to concede 2, thanks to Emiliano Marcondes and Morgan Rogers. And it looked like from that point, it was always going to go Bournemouth's way. But then up pops the man, Naldini, on the edge of the box. Fantastic finish into the bottom corner. 96th minute. Kenilworth Road, the roof comes off the place, maybe even literally. And it was just such a remarkable game just then. I remember watching it at the time and just thinking, wow, what have I just witnessed?
It was one of those end-to-end games, and it just summed up the championship perfectly, because at 2-2 you expected Bournemouth to go on to win it, but you felt the atmosphere turning, and Cal Naismith's goal was wow. I mean, if you'd have witnessed that in the Champions League, you'd have been taking your cap off to him. It was such a beautiful finish, and from a very good player as well this season.
Absolutely, Justin. What's your favourite game?
I'm going back even further. I'm going back to October, when Championship favourites Fulham were beaten 4-1 away at Coventry. And the reason why I've chosen this game is because nobody expected it. At no point did anybody expect it. And I think it was that point where Coventry fans started to believe that something could happen this season. Obviously, they didn't quite make the playoffs, but I think this put a marker down as to how good actually this squad really is, and how good Mark Robbins is as a coach. Because Fulham went 1-0 up after 18 minutes, going to half time, down by a goal, and obviously they come out in the second half flying, score 4 goals, and shock everybody. And it's, as I say, just highlighted the quality in that Coventry squad and where they can potentially go.
Absolutely. At the time, we thought Coventry may get promoted this season. Wasn't to be, but that was Coventry at their peak, and it was fantastic watching that. Justin, who's been the worst manager in the Championship this season? There's been a few, hasn't there?
Yeah, that seems to be the story of this episode. But I'm going to go with Marcus Shop. Brought in some very good puns with him, obviously with the old Shop surname, but unfortunately came up short with his overall
You
tenure
can
at
say come up
Barnsley.
shop, weren't you?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I avoided that one, but it turned out to be a disaster. The style of play was, I mean, question marks. There was a different style, a different formation being used. We did have some injuries, but I had no idea what he was trying to achieve with his team, and it's a fairly decent Barnsley squad, but at no point did they look like even improving or getting better. And the run they went on was quite astounding, and no surprise to see him sacked very early on. Probably should have happened sooner.
Yeah, defensively, they just could not shut up shop, and it was just a nightmare from start to finish. Worst manager of the season for me, it's got to be Chris Hughton. And I'll get on to where I feel about Chris Hughton later on, but when you look at the start Forest had, 1 point from 7 games, and now look at where they are, it only makes the job Chris Hughton was doing at the start of the season look even bad. And at the time, I remember thinking, I'm not sure anyone else could do better with this Forest side, because Chris Hughton is a good manager at Championship level. This is the only bad job he's done at Championship level. So I just thought something must have been wrong with Nottingham Forest. But Steve Cooper's gone in, amazing manager, and done an amazing job in itself. But Chris Hughton, it just makes the job that he was doing look even worse. I just don't know what was going on at the start of the season. It's really tricky to put your finger on, Justin.
It is strange. If you look at Steve Cooper's points record, if he had those 7 games Chris Hughton had, they may have surpassed Fulham for the
They would have.
title. Yeah, there you go. 2 points per game is promotion winning form. And there was a good squad at Forest. Just Chris Hughton couldn't find the formula that Steve Cooper's found. And yeah, it is a strange one, as you say. Chris Hughton's side have only ever improved. This was the blip on his very successful championship record.
Yeah, very strange indeed. Justin, what's next topic?
What's been your favourite story of the season?
There's only one winner of this, and it's one that's been mentioned quite a few times on the Stopwatch this season, but it's got to be the rise of Ben Brereton Diaz. Unfortunately, in the second half of the season, it's been kind of muddied because he's not managed to replicate it, mainly due to injury and just a loss of form in general. But the first half of the season, watching this lad from Stoke become the Chilean sensation that he is, and keep in mind that he hadn't really pulled up many trees in the Blackburn shirt prior to this season. It was just remarkable seeing a guy who was full of confidence, loving football, loving life. It just really put a smile on my face, Justin.
I can imagine, and I think I was one of his biggest fans. There was a lot of fans in Chile who were making videos and TikToks of him. I mean, if I had TikTok, I would have probably done the same, because he featured
People
in
had tattoos
adverts.
of him.
But he featured in Pepsi adverts.
Yeah.
What a story! And it doesn't happen very often in the Championship, so you've got to savor it when it does. But yeah, it's been remarkable, and potentially going to Sevilla. There are other links as well. It's incredible.
Who knows? Who knows? Justin, yours?
I've gone with Nottingham Forest's rise. So following on from what we were talking about with Chris Hughton, but Nottingham Forest's rise under Steve Cooper has been remarkable, and as I say, quite one of my favourite stories. Even being a Derby fan, it's been absolutely fantastic. Just the way he's elevated the team and the players has been brilliant. Ryan Yates He got into a team of the year, never looked like getting anywhere near it under previous managers, but he's turned out to be one of the most consistent and impressive midfielders in the league. Brennan Johnson. Wow, just wow. Jed Spence, incredible. There are just so many little stories that have come out of that team. Keenan Davis's form since he went to Nottingham Forest as well, and Sam Surridge's finishing. I can go on and on and on. There are just so many different and little stories that have come out, and the turnaround that Steve Cooper's done at Forest, just ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Justin, it's second tier retro time. This is the part of the show where we look back on the best and worst in Championship history. The question is this week, what is the single best side not to have been promoted from the Championship?
Yeah, gotta go deep for this one, but actually no, I don't, because I'm going to Leeds 2018-2019 under Marcelo Bielsa. I think Gary Rowett said at the start of that season that I think he was licking his lips because he had a big budget at Stoke. He was licking his lips at facing Leeds, and that opening day game, Leeds battered Stoke, and you felt at that point, yes, Rowett, you're pretty much done here. And lo and behold, a few months later, he's gone. But yeah, that Leeds team was absolutely ridiculous in that season under Bielsa, in the top two for a long time. Shouldn't have lost in the playoffs as well. I think Derby made history beating Leeds in the playoffs, overturning that home deficit. Yeah, it's quite remarkable that they didn't go up, and easily for me one of the best sides that haven't achieved promotion in recent years.
Yeah, you look at the underlying data from that season in terms of expected goals, they were miles ahead of anyone else. So it's always going to be a mystery how that side wasn't promoted. Luckily, they managed to, deal with it the season afterwards, but it was such a remarkable team and it's going to live long in the memory for any Championship fan who watched them at the time. And I'm going more for name value in my best team to have not been promoted from the Championship. I'm going for the Villa side from 2017-18. Some of the names, Justin, in this side. How did they not get promoted? First of all, they had John Terry, which is a great place to start in that alone. The only team he ever played for at Championship level, well, this side of the millennium anyway. And then they had the likes of Jack Grealish, who was just coming through. They had James Chester, Robert Snodgrass, Scott Hogan, Glenn Whelan, Josh Onoma, Conor Hourihane, Sam Johnston, Ahmed El Mohammadi.
Keep going.
So many big. I could keep going. Justin. So many big names and so much money spent on this team for it to just end up finishing. I think it finished fifth this season. How did they not go up? It's amazing, really. Eventually, obviously, they did go up, but it just remarkable how this team did not get there in the first place, and goes to show how disastrous a job Steve Bruce did in his time there, really. But yeah, in terms of name value, I don't think you'll be able to find a team that looks better on paper than that Villa team and didn't get promoted. And there we go. Another special episode of the Stopwatch. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, particularly your biggest WTF moments of the season. I'm really keen to see what people have to say about that, because I'm sure there's some things that we may have even missed. And also drop us a like if you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe for more content like this. We've been the Second Tier Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Second Tier Pod. I'm Brian Dilk Swan. Justin Peach 27's over here. And thank you for watching.